Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like it pains some people to know that, in this country, the Aboriginals were considered copper colored. And it was documented that melanated people were in this land. And no, not those Siberian looking natives that everybody keep pointing to as original Americans. I'm not talking about them. But what I am talking about are people that looked very much like us were in the land, and it is documented. All right. You even got people among our group. If you don't say, we came from Africa, they get mad. So I'm going to let you listen to Chat GPT's answer on the copper color races that was documented and here in America and documented by many people that came on this land, especially the Europeans, and what they saw and what the people looked like. So let's get into it.
Great question. Let's go step by step because this ties into history, anthropology, and how race and identity were described in early America. Encounter 1. Who were the original Americans? The original Americans are the indigenous peoples of the Americas, the hundreds of nations and tribes who lived here long before European colonization. These include the Cherokee, Powhatan, Lakota, Hopi, Iroquois, Maya, Inca, and countless others. Archaeology shows people have lived in the Americas for at least 15,000 years or more. They had complex civilizations, cities, trade networks, agriculture, spiritual systems, and governance long before colonists arrived. Number 2, were they described as copper-colored? Yes. Historically, many early European records describe the indigenous people of North America as copper-colored. The 1828 Webster's Dictionary definition of American originally read, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals, or copper-colored races, found here by the Europeans. This phrase shows that early settlers recognized the native peoples as distinct in complexion from both Europeans and Africans. The copper color description reflected the range of reddish-brown to bronze skin tones Europeans observed among indigenous nations. It was a broad, colonial-era term, not a scientific one, but it was how they identified Native Americans at that time. Number 3, why does this matter? Over time, the term American shifted. By the 1800s, it was being used to describe European colonists and their descendants, not the indigenous people. That shift erased the original association of American with Native peoples and their copper-toned description. Today, indigenous people assert their identity through their tribal nations and languages, not through colonial color terms. In summary, the original Americans were the indigenous peoples, and yes, many early European sources describe them as copper-colored. That phrase was even embedded in the first dictionary definition of American before colonization redefined it. History, law, and racial classification in the U.S. Let me break it down clearly. Number 1. Early identity of indigenous peoples. As I mentioned before, early sources like Webster's 1828 dictionary called the original Americans the Aboriginals, or copper-colored races. European settlers recognized Native peoples as distinct from both Africans and Europeans. SAR 2, the shift toward Negro classification. Over time, especially in the 18th and 19th centuries, laws and racial policies began to blur these identities for political and economic reasons. Colonial records. Some indigenous tribes who lived near or intermarried with Africans, free and enslaved, were reclassified by local officials as Negro, Black, or Colored, regardless of their actual ancestry. The one-drop rule, early 1800s onward, states like Virginia codified laws that anyone with any African ancestry was legally classified as Negro. This rule often swept Native peoples into the Black category if they had African connections, or if officials simply wanted to erase their Native status. Land and rights suppression. Reclassifying Indigenous as Negro served a purpose. It stripped Native tribes of land rights, tax exemptions, and sovereignty. By law, they became subject to the same restrictions as African Americans, especially in the South. 3. Examples of this forced reclassification. Virginia's Racial Integrity Act, 1924. This law said there were only two groups, white and colored. Many Indigenous Virginians were erased from records and marked as Negro or colored. Cherokee Freedmen controversy. Enslaved Africans among the Cherokee Nation were freed after the Civil War, but U.S. officials often lumped their descendants, and sometimes Native people themselves, into Negro categories. The Melungeons and other triracial groups. Communities with Native, African, and European roots in Appalachia were often legally flattened into Negro or colored, even when families identified as Native. 4. Why did this happen? It wasn't because Native people actually became Negro. It was about paper genocide, erasing Indigenous identity on government records. Controlling land ownership. Simplifying racial categories into white versus non-white. In summary, copper-colored Indigenous peoples didn't physically change into Negro. Instead, U.S. laws and social systems reclassified them into the Negro category, especially from the 1700s through the early 1900s, to erase Native sovereignty, strip land, and enforce racial hierarchies. This was a form of legal erasure, paper genocide, not by...
Okay. All right, y'all. They said that these copper-colored people are believed to have been in the land 15,000 years long before the European shows up. And by the way, please don't drop by to let me know that that's not true. That's not true. I really don't want to hear from anybody that looked like Donald Trump. Y'all are trying to destroy history. Why would I want history from a people that are trying to destroy history? No, thank you to you chiming in. No, thank you. But for my people, please let me know what you think in the comment section. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.